Hi, I'm Kippi from KippiAtHome.com. Welcome to my home and welcome to my channel. Tonight we're going to be making something super pretty. And these are these pretty little treat cones and they're made out of fabric. And I wanted to make them to match little hearts that I made last week. So now it's what we're going to start with. We'll start with fabric that we have on hand. I have some lace and ribbons and notions, and we're just going to get started and make something really super cute. And make sure that you check my playlist for other YouTubers who are very creative and they've got some inspiration for your Valentine's crafting as well. All right, let's get started. You guys remember the last video I made was about making these little hearts, and I made a little wreath out of it. So here's a little pattern, and I can attach that in the description below. So now we're going to make this super cute cone, and this cone can be used for your little Valentine. You could just stuff it with candy or little gifts. So I made a little pattern. I tried a couple different little things, and I'm just going to trace my little pattern. I made it out of poster board. I'm going to trace it on here and cut it out. Now that I have it cut out, this is going to be my lining, because you need two pieces, one for lining and one for the outside fabric. But the lining will be folded to the outside, so it will be seen. So what I'm showing you is where I've pinned this. Since it's going to be the lining, I'm going to have a little opening. First I'm going to pin it, and then I'm going to use those pins like I've shown you before, where I put it in and then I bury the head, the tip of it, so you don't get cut on it. So you shouldn't see it on the other side, and it should just be buried in between the layers. So continue pinning like that, except for I pin back and the other way to mark the opening so I don't sew that shut. And I use the edge of my sewing machine as the seam allowance. Now I'm going to use that foot like I told you to mark my seam allowance. I'm just running my fabric along the edge of my foot, and you can find another spot on your sewing machine. You can use the 1/2-inch seam allowance, whatever you like, whatever's comfortable for you. So I'm going to lock my stitch. I'm going to go back and forth when I begin and I end, and I've made it to that little spot where I'm going to leave it open, and then I'm going to move down, because that's where I'm going to turn, and I'm going to lock my stitch again and continue all the way to the end, and I'm going to lock my stitch there as well. I'm going to trim that little point so when I go to turn it, I can get it as sharp as I can possibly get it. So I'm going to cut away a little bit of the extra fabric. I'm going to be really sure not to cut that stitching. Now I'm going to sew my outside fabric, or my main fabric, and I'm just going to lock the stitch in the beginning and stitch all the way to the end, and then I'll lock my stitch at the end and trim it the same way I did the pink, the lining piece. Okay, now that I have that finished, I'm going to take my lining and I'm going to turn it right side out from the top, because we didn't stitch the top, they're rounded edge top, and I'm going to place it inside my outside fabric, and I'm going to line up the seam allowances, and so they're going to be seam allowances are going to be right side together. And I wanted to show you that hole where you are going to turn it. Just don't worry about that just yet. So I'm going to open them up, pin them together, and then I'm going to pin all the way around and sew, removing pins as I go. All right, you can see how they're sewn together there. And remember we left that opening. So now I'm going to reach into that opening and I'm going to turn it right side out on the front piece. That would be my gray and white check, or whatever your outside fabric is, or your feature fabric. And I'm going to use my turning tool, and I'll put a link to that below so you can find that kind of turning tool. I love this ease of ability to use this. So I'm going to use that to try to get my point as pointy as I can without stretching out my fabric or making a hole through it. Now I'm going to use my tool to push that lining down into the bottom. And I wanted to mention that you can either close that opening that you have, you can leave it open. It doesn't, I'm just stuffing it and decorating with it, so it doesn't really matter. But you can hand stitch it closed, or you can use fusible tape or you can glue it, however you want to handle it. But I'm saying, for the easeability of finishing it, I'm just going to finish it. I'm moving over my cute little iron, and I'll definitely give you the link to that. This iron, I have another one, but this one really does the trick, and it's very inexpensive. What I'm looking for is a nice knife point kind of edge, and I'm just gonna iron along that edge because it's gonna make a little cuff, and I want it to be just neat as a pin. So I'm just gonna go along and just iron that. I'm using a little dowel inside there to help me hold it in place as I iron out a few of the wrinkles in there. You know, it's from turning it. It doesn't have to be perfect. So as soon as I finish with that, then I can embellish this, and that's the best part. Turn my cuff down, and you just kind of decide where you want that cuff to be. And I'm going to try to use some ribbon and some lace, and I want to coordinate with my little heart. So these are the elements I used on the heart, so I'm going to use them on my treat cone as well. I made a little tassel out of yarn, and I will put a link below so you can see how easy that is to do. And you can see I've made them before. Now I'm going to use wooden balls. You can paint them. I'm just using them straight out of the thing, raw wood, and they turn out super cute. I bought this little pack of buttons and embellishments from the Walmart, and I thought I would see if I wanted to use one of those, but I decided I wanted to do something kind of old school, and that was to make a flower out of fabric. So I'm going to get my straight edge, and I'm going to tear it till I have thread perfect, and that is to cut right along the grain and get it to pull a piece off there about 1 inch by about 19 inches. See the thread perfect? This is what I'm showing you. That is what that means. It goes right along the grain. So now I'm ready to get that 1 inch piece, and I'm not even measuring, I'm just eyeballing it. And now I'm going to tear that, and I'm going to have this fantastic piece that I can make a flower out of. So I'm going to use about 19 inches of it. And then I'm going to knot the end of it and twist and turn as I go around until I like the arrangement of it. Once I get to the last part of this rose, I am going to add the glue, and I'm using that last bit of the tail as kind of a base for it. So it's a wee bit hot, and that's why I was using my little hot hand things. I love those little protectors. So I'm just trying to get it to cool off a little bit, and then I'll cut off that extra little tab, and I'll be ready to use it. All right, I've got my little flower there, and I'm trying to decide if I wanted to do something else, but I decided to use it, and I might actually embellish it later with a little something extra, but I really like the little key hanging down from it. But we'll just finish it for now, and then I might add something to it. I'm going to use that same lace and ribbon that I used to make the little heart to make my ties on this. So I'm just going to kind of knot them together, and then I'm going to hot glue them. And I marked my placement on both sides with a little purple fabric water removable marker for sewing. I've got my little purple mark there, and I decided I would hot glue this on, but you can, in fact, you could put grommets there and run something through it that way. Ribbon, it could be, interchangeable with other things. You could sew it on. You could do all kinds of things, but I just decided this would be fast and really easy, and I like the way it looked. Now that I've got my little flower on, I am going to add my tassel to the end, and as I said, I've got to I'll put a link so you can see how I made my little tassel there. And how about this gizmo that I came up with, and it's just a piece of wire that I'm going to thread through and I've made a little loop at the end, and it's just regular floral wire, and I'm pulling the thread through that. I'm just making the whole of the loop that I made I'm making it a little bit bigger so I can get both pieces of yarn through it at the same time. So I'm just going to feed it through that and then pull it through the bead. And then I will use the same technique to thread the needle. So I'm pushing and pulling, and I'm getting that through the fabric of the tip, the bottom of the cone, and I'm pulling it to the back, and I just kind of knot it at the back and then put it in a clip the thread, the extra threads off, and I put a little bit of hot glue there. It looks great. Y'all, this is super cute, and my daughter made this in a post that she showed how to make this from the Dollar Tree candle. She added the vinyl from her Cricut maker, and she has a tutorial on her site. I'll put the link to that below. Isn't that super cute? Oh, that was super fun, guys. Well, I was crafting up a storm making these cute cones. So just make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, because you don't want to miss a single bit of inspiration this spring. And make sure you check out all the other crafters in the playlist. And I will see you soon. Have a fantastic weekend.